What makes a church a church? Is it the people, leadership, fellowship, the music, the building, the money, communion, the ministries, the worship, the minister, the adults, the missions, the beliefs, the Bible, the committees, the meetings, or even just Jesus? Does the church even matter today?
You worship it.
You worship. It was fellowship a few weeks ago. This week it's worship. Is the church relevant? Is it needed? This week I opened my Real Simple magazine subscription, and each month there is a special section that asks readers to send in their response to a question. This month's question was, if you knew you wouldn't fail, what would you try? Does this sound familiar to any of the rest of you? For those of you who haven't been here or with us each week, it is very similar to a question that I keep asking. So I started to read the responses. It included a woman who wanted to be a fighter pilot, a cast member on Saturday Night Live. There was lots of travel. One woman wanted to ask Bradley Cooper to marry her. Another woman wanted to be able to drive the backhoe to remove large brush on her property. What was interesting as I read all of these answers is no one jumped to that question in a faithful way. One woman did want to open a wellness retreat center, but everyone else responded in the basic me mentality of the world that we live in. Nobody said I would solve world hunger, I would work to make sure people had clean water, I would try to give people a safe place to live without fear. And if they did say those, then none of those answers made the cut into the magazine. Now, when of course I read that question, I automatically read it in a faithful way because of how that question has been introduced to me. Had those who responded to the question been asked that question in a church instead of a magazine, I am sure they would have thought of it in a different way. My goal as your pastor and as a person who tries to walk faithfully is to help all of us, myself included, connect to all of life in faithful ways. So that when a question in a magazine is asked of us, you're automatically thinking of life a little differently, more theologically and more faithfully. Because as we've been discussing over weeks and weeks, faith is a journey that happens all the time. It happens when we rest. It happens when we work. It happens even when we fail. It happens when we worship. It happens when we're together. It happens when we're outside of this building. Faithful people see God beside us and around us all the time. God is part of our powerful faith, life-filled journey. You see, we could stop now. Jesus has to go to Jerusalem. We do not. We can stand on the side of the road, waving our palms, throwing our coats, celebrating Jesus. And in a lot of ways, we do not have to do the hard part. We don't have to go there. In the Palm Sunday story, Jesus is here in front of us as the crowd. He's not yet in Jerusalem, or he's not yet in Indianapolis, where our denomination resides. He is here in Independence, outside of the city. And so we have to ask ourselves, are we going to stay here, or are we going to follow him there? Are we going to continue to delve into the tough questions and the tough answers? You know, over the past few months as I've started here, you have sat there and you have listened. In many ways, you've been very supportive. But now is the time where I'm starting to challenge you to say, are you willing to go there? I'm willing to go there, but I first have to find where there went in my sermon because my pages got out of order. The question that I keep asking is, if you had all the money in the world and knew you could not fail. That question comes from a faith journey I took long ago. And due to that journey and to others, I have seen ministry and God move in life-changing and creative ways. I have seen food pantries, thrift stores, feeding programs. They come in so many different and amazing forms. There are shelters, legal advice, apartments, rehabilitation, tutoring, job coaching, and activity centers. I have seen ministries that serve prostitutes, gang members, refugees, infants and elderly, foster care villages, habitat homes, animal shelters, education facility, and even arts programs. People pack tons of boxes and backpacks and Ziplocs with items to help those far away and close by. I have seen a hotel that was transformed into transitional housing. I have seen a youth ministry activity center for gang members, giving more backpacks out full of supplies to the homeless person on the corner at the stoplight. I've seen an airplane hangar filled with stuff for overseas put together by just one man. There are many elderly homes seeking people to constantly pray and worship and be with them. There are homeless people who need an address and a business suit to get a job. There are people who need help with their taxes, Jill. Me too. But there are ministries that help with that. There are ministries that support mental and physical disabilities. I've seen dog park ministries, fitness ministries, mission sites, community gardens, so much more. There's so many ways to get even connected into these amazing journeys. There are anime ministries and resources to help your family online, or if your kid's into Minecraft, there are videos out there. Jesus, Minecraft stories. And today, even when we run or walk together, I'll use an app that will help support another nonprofit ministry or program. There are even online prayer vigils. Or you can look in the back of your worship bulletin and see a daily devotion at D365 that all of a sudden connects you in to something deeper. There are ministries and nonprofits that you're already probably participating in. So the question then becomes, how do we support one another's passions and ministries and love and what God is calling us to do? We need to do what we're already doing, just do it with small touches that make big dreams come true. We need to see new ways to worship, mission, and live out the gospel upon the strong foundation that we have laid. I am tempted to put a mission journey together for the entire church. Time to really see and get our brains and hearts moving in a direction that helps us answer that big question I keep asking. So, what does this trip look like if we choose to take it? It first includes looking at what missions we do well. Celebrating the ministries led by Susan Lynch. If you have never seen the family and the food pantry that she has set up downstairs that supports those families, you are missing out. Plus seeing her leadership and work at First Christian in Covington as we serve meals to the homeless. This journey would also include other ministries that have already been brought to my attention. Did you know that Madison Avenue Christian Church has what's called the Samaritan Car Care Clinic? Anybody here have a thing for cars, Bob? Rob, where's my husband? Some car people in here. Do you know that that ministry is open 4 times a year, including yesterday, and provides free basic car maintenance for people in need? There's already a group called Life Solutions Network that has started to work to bring Northern Kentucky leaders together to help as we volunteer and do mission work to be smart about it, to systemically, that's a hard word, systemically live out our missions in ways that really can help the most people, to connect to bigger picture organizations within Northern Kentucky. Crittenden Christian Church has a layperson that started a ministry called Hope and has already called us to be a part of that if we're so interested. Or did you know there's a new church start called Beautiful Way Christian Church that's led by Mike Delaney in this area? Its mission is to actually work with other local congregations to bring wholeness with a focus on people with disabilities, which at some point in our life, if we live to a certain age, all of us will be people with disabilities. Did you know that Cincinnati has the second highest rate for childhood poverty in America? Reverend Alan Dickin at Carthage Christian Church in Cincinnati has been working closely with a program called the Amos Project. This is an interfaith collection of leaders who are working to change systematic and statistical facts that are part of the marginalized within the Cincinnati area. Crazy, faith-filled, powerful journeys are happening all around us and even in this place. And they're all very different, but they're all doing God's work for God's people. These people, these workers, these ministries, these passions are taking the whole trip. It's not easy, but they see a need and they find a way to respond. They look outside of their buildings, they get creative, and they start moving. So this is the point where we need to start going. As I said last week, it won't be straight and it won't be easy, but I promise you it will be worth it because we are following Jesus. Even on a chilly March afternoon, many of us are going to go out there to those sidewalks, wave our palms, be in fellowship, have community, and start moving to follow Jesus. And it is worth it, remember? Next Sunday, lots of people will celebrate Easter in a church service. And that's great because Easter really matters to us. But just like anything, the end of something can have a great celebration, but it definitely will mean more to those who have participated in the entire journey to get to that point. The celebration means more to those who the day after the celebration still have to wake up and live out what was celebrated. Well, I hope you can journey with this community through our Seder meal, I'm really bad at saying that, Seder meal, and our Good Friday service. I know many of us live busy lives. So my prayer for you all this week is that through the online prayers, just reading the biblical story, whether it be from the real Bible or the children's Bible, or doing maybe the cards given to the kids, or even if you don't have kids, you can sneak a set. Take it home, read the scriptures to yourself, or even watching Monty Python's Life of Brian. I don't care how you take the journey this week, but I want you to work to take the whole Holy Week journey. Find ways in your day-to-day life, whether it be a magazine that you're reading or a moment at work, to see God working in faithful ways and help others see that you respond and see your world as a person of faith. My encouragement, my hope as we get ready and celebrate and wave our palms is that we don't stop there. We don't even stop at Easter, but that through this week and beyond, we take the whole journey. If you would like to join us in that journey, you are invited to come forward. Or even if you just want to come forward again in your world because it's fun to come forward and dedicate your spirit and life again to what you know is an amazing and wonderful God in Jesus, you are invited to come forward during the hymn. But know that whether you take those steps or the steps outside, you are invited by Jesus and God to take the daily steps that will make it worthy and an amazing journey. Let us sing together.